What happens when the federal government demands your private driver's license number, your partial social security number, and your full date of birth under the guise of election integrity? You'd probably expect a state official to push back, but you definitely wouldn't expect a conservative, Trump-appointed federal judge to be the one to deal the final, crushing blow to the Department of Justice's plans. Yet, that is exactly the political bombshell that just dropped, rewriting the rules of engagement between the feds and state election officials. Before we continue, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in U.S. politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow. Let's break down exactly what happened. The U.S. Department of Justice under the Trump administration filed a major lawsuit against Maine's Secretary of State, Shenna Bellows. The DOJ's goal was clear. They wanted Maine to hand over its entire, unredacted voter roll database. We aren't just talking about a simple list of registered voters' names. The federal government was demanding highly sensitive personal information, including driver's license numbers, partial social security numbers, and exact dates of birth for every single registered voter in the state. Maine's Secretary of State, Shenna Bellows, looked at this massive request and asked a simple question: why? She demanded an explanation for how the federal government planned to use this incredibly private data. When the DOJ failed to provide a clear, satisfactory answer, Bellows didn't hesitate. She officially rejected their request. In fact, she didn't just say no. She went on the offensive, telling the DOJ to go jump in the Gulf of Maine, noting that the water is awfully cold and might help the federal government cool down. Naturally, the DOJ didn't take this defiance lightly. They sued Maine, claiming the state was violating federal election laws and actively defying federal authority. But the narrative took an unexpected turn when the case landed on the desk of Chief U.S. District Judge Lance Walker. Keep in mind, Judge Walker was appointed to the federal bench by Donald Trump himself in 2018. Many expected a conservative federal judge to lean toward the administration's arguments, but Judge Walker did the exact opposite. He granted Bellows' motion and completely dismissed the DOJ's lawsuit. In his ruling, Judge Walker stated that the federal government's requests would require him to turn a blind eye to traditional practices of federalism and how those principles are expressed in American elections. This ruling is a massive victory for state sovereignty and personal privacy, and its implications stretch far beyond the borders of Maine. Under the United States Constitution, states are the primary administrators of elections. This framework is a cornerstone of American federalism, designed specifically to prevent a centralized federal authority from seizing total control over how votes are cast and counted. By demanding unredacted voter rolls, critics argue the DOJ was attempting a massive overreach, potentially violating the privacy rights of millions of ordinary citizens. Shenna Bellows celebrated the ruling, declaring that it affirms states, not the federal government, are in charge of elections. And she isn't alone. The DOJ has actually launched a massive campaign, suing 30 different states for refusing to turn over their voter rolls. But this aggressive federal strategy is hitting a brick wall. Maine is just the latest state to successfully fight back, joining the ranks of Arizona, California, Massachusetts, Michigan, Oregon, and Rhode Island, where similar federal lawsuits have also been thrown out of court. This pattern suggests a growing judicial consensus that the federal government cannot simply bully states into surrendering private citizen data. If the DOJ continues down this path, they risk further legal embarrassments and a hardening of state-level resistance, uniting both liberal and conservative officials in defense of local election control. This raises a massive, highly controversial question about the balance of power in our country. So what do you think about this? Should the federal government have the right to access your private data to audit voter rolls? Or is this a dangerous case of federal overreach that threatens our privacy? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. As the battle over election integrity and states' rights continues to heat up ahead of the next major election cycle, one thing is abundantly clear. The Constitution's system of checks and balances is still alive and well, and even the most powerful federal agencies can be put in their place when they cross the line. Stay tuned, stay informed, and we will see you in the next video.